Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Wise Decision Maker Show, where we help you make the wisest and most profitable decisions. My name is Dr. Gleb Tsipursky. I'm the CEO of Disaster Avoidance Experts, the future of work consultancy that sponsors the Wise Decision Maker Show. I'm joined today by Marie. Marie, can you please introduce yourself and share a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Marie Carroll, and I'm the VP of People and Culture at Social Factor. And we are a social media organization based in Texas, although we have a
Mhm.
completely distributed team currently. I'm also the VP of programs at Austin SHRM, the local
Mhm.
SHRM chapter of the National SHRM organization. So,
Excellent.
yeah, and in terms of what I do every day, my role encompasses everything from employee development to performance management. We do a lot of training of our managers, and then just, overseeing the usual things that you would associate with human resources.
Okay, thank you. And so you said you have a fully distributed team. Can you tell me a little bit more about how it works? What do you mean by fully distributed? Where are folks actually located?
Yeah, so we pretty much have people from East Coast to West Coast.
Mhm.
And, it has allowed us to have a very broad talent pool to choose from.
Mhm.
So our people are pretty much in the United States. We have a few
Mhm.
folks that are outliers that have worked with us in the past,
Mhm.
but in all time zones across the country.
So tell me a little bit, besides the broader talent pool, what you find as the benefits of this distributed model.
Yeah, I mean, for us, from a employee standpoint, people really enjoy it because they are able to
Mm.
have a balanced work life.
Mhm.
Actually, today we are recognizing our working parents. It's
Ah.
National Working Parents Day,
Mhm.
and we have been recognized for 4 years in a row in terms of being best place to work for working parents. And
Nice.
so it really does allow them a little bit of fluidity
Mhm.
in terms of picking up children, working out their schedule
Mhm.
with their manager. And so, that's a really good retention tool for us as
Mhm.
well, because people enjoy working in a place that cares about their
Mm.
family. So that's definitely a big one for us on the people side of
Mhm.
things and the employee side.
Now, those are monumental benefits, of course, but what about some of the challenges? What are some of the biggest challenges you've seen with your distributed work model?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the challenges is not getting to see each other every day.
Mm.
You would in the, old office where you could walk
Sure.
by, just say hello, ask a quick question,
Mhm.
and, just, have a share about what's going on in your life,
Mm.
in your family, that sort of thing. But I mean, it has just allowed us to think more clearly about communication within our
Mm.
organization and
Mhm.
how we need to be much more deliberate in terms of communication. If I need to speak to you, I may have to schedule a meeting with you.
Mhm.
I may need to see if you're available or, something of that nature rather than just walking past your desk.
Mm.
I may need to really think about who needs to also be part of that communication and
Mhm.
include folks in that. So there's a little bit more of the deliberate
Mm.
need to find who are the best people to meet and making sure that you include everyone, which, just I think creates a little bit more of the
Mhm.
Zoom meeting tiredness that people do have
Sure.
occasionally as we go through the day.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about how you solve this problem. So one problem I heard you say is lack of connection, just that connection, human trust
Mhm.
building, relationship building that comes now. It's funny. I was just at a helping a law firm at a retreat that they were also having this problem. Like, how do you solve this lack of informal communication, collaboration, and relationship building? And the other thing is kind of being the deliberate aspect of things. How do you make sure that you're deliberate and intentional about who actually needs to hear the message and how you meet with them? So how do you solve those? And I can share a little bit about later about what I do with a law firm and what I do with other
Yeah.
clients, but I'm
Yeah.
curious what you do.
For sure. So, we do have some opportunities to meet in person, but they're not as
Hmm.
frequent as if we were in the office. So, we
Hmm.
do take those opportunities. We have a small office in Fort Worth, and there are
Hmm.
some people in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Other people fly in and meet and that sort of thing. And then we've also made sure that some of our team, if they live in a similar area, maybe they just meet for a happy hour, maybe they
Hmm.
have a meeting about work. We actually have a good amount of team in the California area. And
Okay.
so several people are going to be getting together at the
Hmm.
end of this month and having just a dinner and that sort of thing. But on a day-to-day basis, we've created lots of chats that are just
Hmm.
fun things. We have something we call Music Factor where people can share, hey, here's a really great song that I've
Hmm.
heard. And we've also done things to include like prompts to people like, hey,
Hmm.
talk about a song that's related to this. So we
Yeah,
have a team called the Culture Club.
cool.
The Culture Club, and I'm sorry, of course, I'm losing my voice in the middle of this. The Culture Club takes time to think about how we can do some fun things for our team all the
Hmm.
time. So we do trivia, we have like the, NFL draft, those sorts of things. So everyone
Hmm.
can get involved. Bingo is super popular, and these are all virtual events that we do,
Oh, yeah.
but it allows people to interact related to things that aren't work. And so they
Hmm.
can have fun, they can enjoy themselves, they can, throw in some jokes and
Yeah.
get to know each other a little bit better. We
Hmm.
also have a coffee chat with our CEO,
Hmm.
and he does several of those within a week, one time a month, and people can join. And it's really also for him to get to know them,
Hmm.
get to know him. And one of our VPs does that as well.
Nice.
Then, in terms of kind of like the deliberate conversations
Hmm.
that we need to have and those communications, we actually have been doing some training, reminding people of different ways to communicate,
Hmm.
talking about how it builds trust, encouraging people to not just work through chat. Because if you and I have a conversation like we are now,
Yeah.
I can see your reactions,
Hmm.
I can react to how you're reacting to me.
Yeah.
So we're definitely encouraging people not to just stop at the written word, so to speak, in a chat, because that is a big part
Hmm.
of what we do day to day. People are in chat. So pick up the phone, get on a video call, even if it's for 15 minutes. Get the right people in the room if you need to. So we're really encouraging people to
Hmm.
have more of a, as much as you can, in person conversation so that things aren't lost in translation
Hmm.
in chat and that sort of thing.
Okay, interesting. So something I've seen work well at some other companies, I'm curious if you do something like this. You talked about the coffee chats with the CEO and the VP. But one useful tool is an opt-in coffee chat where people are randomly matched with somebody else who wants to opt in to be randomly matched for a half-hour chat. You can do it
Mhm.
once a week, once every 2 weeks, once a month with somebody at the company, just randomly as a way of building one-on-one relationships across the company and strengthening those weak ties that otherwise can be challenging to develop if you're not within the same team in a virtual environment. Those function develop more naturally in an in-person environment where you're just can meet around the proverbial water cooler. But those one-on-one relationships that you get from just virtually being matched through, there's a number of apps that you can do, as coffee roulette and so on, that just match people to opt in for a conversation. I'm curious if you do anything like that, or if you think that that might be a good idea.
Well, I like it. It's an interesting idea. We haven't done exactly that. The one thing we have done is what we've called
Hmm.
social factor sidekicks. And
Hmm.
what that is, somebody starting new at the company, we
Hmm.
match them with somebody who is not on their team or not somebody in the people department that they would normally
Hmm.
meet. And it's somebody that they can just go and ask a question. Maybe they're not sure of a
Hmm.
process. Where do I find information?
Hmm.
And, am I understanding this correctly? Or, they don't have to go to their supervisor or someone on their team. They're just kind of like this, you
Yeah.
know, third party friend, so to speak, that they may normally not meet in the course of
Mhm.
their day-to-day work because they're on a different team or in a different department. So that's a little bit similar, but I love your idea of, having matched folks and having them meet virtually because, I
Mhm.
think that would be really cool. So it's a great idea.
Oh, good. I'm glad it's helpful. Yeah, what you're talking about is a buddy program, and I've seen those work well to
Mhm.
solve the problem of junior folks. But this is for everyone. So anyone who wants to develop better connections with
Yeah.
people across the company, anyone can do it, and you can be matched with anyone. So it's a quite useful tool, and because it's opt-in, people don't feel pressured to participate. So it's a nice way to address those sorts of issues that you're describing.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question about that? Do you do
Sure.
you do they get a choice of like if they're trying to get mentored or if is it just like a pure relationship building thing? Like if they wanted to
Mhm.
get mentored by someone who's a director or a VP, or is it purely just to know some other folks that you don't interact with normally?
So this tool specifically solves the problem of building relationships across teams, cross-team collaboration, weakening of the weak ties, developing those weak ties, and people really like it for that purpose. So you'll be randomly matched with someone senior, someone junior, whatever. Now you can separately, the separate dynamic that you're talking about is a mentoring program. And
Yeah.
so if that is an experience, if that is an issue, having a mentoring program is definitely a very useful tool, and virtual mentoring programs are really effective. Just making sure that you set them up well and have an established expectation.
Okay.
So people need a little bit more structure than they would for an in-person mentoring program. You need to develop a prompt that people would use to go through meetings, because otherwise it's a little bit awkward if you don't have a typical prompt that people
Yeah.
go through. And it should be something like a year-long mentoring program. With the beginning of the program, the mentor and the mentee would get together, the mentee and then would outline their goals for the year, and then the mentor would be checking in on them. And there would be, like I said, regular prompts for what to talk about during the meetings as they meet throughout the year. So that's a really robust mentoring program to address
Absolutely.
the
Yeah.
problem for junior employees benefiting from being integrating into the company.
Great. Sounds good.
Is that something that you think might be helpful, or is that not a problem that social factor is experiencing?
Well, we are actually doing something right now where
Hmm.
it started off being called a shadowing program, but what it really is turning into is more of like a knowledge share
Hmm.
that could potentially be a mentoring program, meaning
Hmm.
we have some of our different functions, departments
Hmm.
sharing their work, how they work, that will help everyone at Social Factor do their normal day-to-day job. So create a better
Hmm.
understanding so that if they're a salesperson, they can speak to it. If they're an account person,
Hmm.
if they're on the people side and they're recruiting people or talking to potential employees, they can understand. And then there's a second part to that where
Hmm.
if somebody actually is really interested in that area from a career standpoint,
Hmm.
we have them do a little assessment, and from there, they may get into more of a shadowing program.
Hmm.
We actually kind of call that the drivers and kind of the mechanics.
Hmm.
So just kind of using that car terminology,
Hmm.
one of our uh, folks on the team came up with. So that in turn will turn into a program that will help people potentially change careers
Hmm.
long term. And it has a mentoring focus to it. It's just a little bit different
Yeah.
than what you're talking about now.
Hmm.
So it's really kind of giving some folks exposure to areas
Hmm.
that they may not have as much deep exposure into. They're just kind of hearing about it on the surface in
Hmm.
meetings and that sort of thing. And so they're getting to look under the hood, so to speak, and say, wow, that's really something I want to do.
Hmm.
Or now I understand this better and it makes me a better employee because I can talk to my clients about it. I can talk
Hmm.
to potential, recruits about it, et cetera. And so, yeah, it's something we just kind of actually started over the past couple
Hmm.
months. So, it's still fledgling and it's still being iterated on it, but it's been great. And we've had a
Mhm.
lot of people be super excited about it and have really good
Nice.
feedback. So,
So it sounds like a career professional development program. It's a little bit distinct than a mentoring program, although it
yeah,
has those elements.
yeah,
Cool.
absolutely.
It sounds like you're doing really great work at Social Factor. What do you think would be the future of distributed work at Social Factor? What do you see?
Yeah, so for social factors specifically in our industry, with what we do, I think we will continue being distributed
Hmm.
because, um, we can find really great talent that way. It gives them the ability to be flexible. I think that we are definitely, though, looking for more opportunities to have some in-person meetings and maybe understand the fact that we may not be able to get everyone together, right? To fly
Hmm.
everyone from all around the country into one space may not make perfect sense, but we are looking for opportunities for groups of people that may be, locally within a few hours of each other to make
Hmm.
opportunities for them to meet and to continue ways to virtually meet and have conversations. And honestly, like for example, our music channel, people love that. And it's like a little window into the soul, like, wow, I've never met
Hmm.
somebody liked this kind of music or had such an array of music that they liked. And it, creates lots of conversations about
Yeah.
people's past. I remember this song when
Mm.
I was in high school and, kind of talk about what they um what they loved back then and why that song was important to them. So it really does help build those bridges a little bit.
Hmm.
We will definitely continue as a distributed team. I know that doesn't work for everyone in
Sure.
every industry. We also, I think, are fortunate in that we don't have a lot of real estate that we
Mm.
have invested in. I know a lot of
Mm.
companies want employees to come in and be hybrid because they've got that
Yeah.
investment in real estate, and for them to be completely distributed, is a little bit hard to manage at times. So, but for us, it's working really well. Like I said, we do have to make sure that we are talking to our managers about being intentional
Mm.
with their employees. We try to do things to make sure that people understand that we know that they are out there, and sometimes we have one person in a state, and just
Mm.
making sure, like, we send little gift items, little fun things
Nice.
at times, birthday gifts, anniversary rewards, all of those sorts of things, just to make sure that people feel
Mm.
appreciated. Every day on our one channel, people will, wish whoever is having a birthday that day,
Nice.
happy birthday, happy anniversary. And I think all those things add up to
Hmm.
creating, a culture where people can express themselves and feel like they are part of the group, because it is all about belonging, and we want to make sure that
Hmm.
everyone has that, feeling that they belong to the group in some way, which is harder when you're not just walking down the hallway and inviting somebody to, join you for a sandwich at lunchtime.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Well, thank you. This was really helpful. I appreciate you sharing your expertise, Marie.
Thank you, Dr. Gleb. Appreciate it.
And thank you to the audience for checking out another episode of the Wise Decision Maker Show. Please make sure to subscribe wherever you checked out the show and leave a review. It helps other people discover the show and it helps us improve the show.